Okay, folks, we're going to see how long any landscape noise is heard in the background as I'm making this video. Helicopter noise, planes, um, the beeping sounds that garbage trucks make when they back up, people talking on the RP, which is a code that I use for legal, strategic, and security purposes, okay, and any other type of loud sounds that go by this area and or can be heard in this area from a distance, okay. Now, this is an informative video, and this is absolutely what is known as a lawyer video. Now, I want you to listen to me very closely, my fellow American citizens. Okay? If you don't know anything about the crime that is known as gang stalking targets are known all over the internet as targeted individuals. Hold on a second. I am experiencing cell phone battery draining from my chargers when they're plugged into, my phones. And I'm not going to state why that is occurring, but it is absolutely occurring. And if I gave you detailed statements about it, you would thoroughly understand and comprehend it. There's going to be brief interruptions. Now, I just plugged this one in, and it's got a full charge on it. Those two were just depleted. They had a full charge on it here in the last 15 minutes. Okay, and I just plugged this one in. It's got a full charge. Right now, the time is 12:30 p.m. The battery that this charger is currently plugged into is at 85%. Okay, so if it doesn't happen with this one, is it because they're adjusting their behavior as a direct result of cyber surveillance? They can literally see what you're stating in a video as it's being made. Cyber surveillance's connection to gang stalking crimes is all over the internet, exposed daily by tens of thousands of victims. Well, tens of thousands of victims are reporting this crime online. And no matter when their posts were made, the vast majority of them are absolutely talking about and exposing, detailing the fact that these demonic freaks that are hosting this crime engage in non-stop cyber surveillance of victims' phones, computers, tablets, and what have you. So they can see when you're making a video. If they don't want anything they're doing to be self-evident as you're making a video, then they'll stop that technique. So let's see how fast it takes for this to drain. Again, the phone level battery power is at 85%, 12:31, and I guarantee you that bitch right now that's doing the landscape noise, I guarantee you for a fact that that individual is being used in this crime. I guarantee it. It's coming from the direction of the railroad tracks, which strongly suggests it's either something being done on the property or a landscape tool that's being used from landscape workers who are working on either homes or condos that are on the cliff on the other side of the railroad tracks. Now, I got indisputable evidence that extremely suggests, I got information, let's just catalog, captured video and audio information that strongly implicates several different landscape companies, in California. So trust me, folks, if you knew what I know and if you saw all the evidence I got in real time, you'd have no problem whatsoever in believing any of my statements when it comes to at least who I specifically identify and the type of employment description that's why they reported to be participating in this crime. I'm not going to go into the particular reasons why noises popped up in gang stalking victim surroundings. So let me just put it to you this way. This tape recorder that is in this pouch right now, it's in the record mode, okay, which you can see the red lights on. Before I started this, it was running before I started this video. And I made a statement in it. I said, I'm getting ready to make a video. Let's see if landscape noise, airplanes, helicopters, and other noises are propped up from the second I stopped listening to these tape recorders in order to make the video, and the very second I turned the second one off, that shit started. Now, if that tape recorder did not pick up any of that noise in my environment before I turned this one off and then made this statement that it's already being heard, what's the likelihood of that occurring? Now, I know this sounds crazy, folks. Just trust me, if you knew what was going on in all the different ways. Information extracted from this covert surveillance of the victim, is when these sick little demonic bitches know when is the appropriate time to prop up what they want the victim to experience. So I'll just leave that statement there. Stay tuned to this account. Over time, you'll have a more thorough understanding related to my statements, because I will be disclosing information videos that will in-depthly detail my statements. Now, I want you to pay attention to this right here. I'm going to give you 30 seconds. In fact, before I show it to you, get up and go get a pen and piece of paper, because you should take notes. If you want to learn the truth about what is occurring in this crime, the best way to do it is to stay with the research. And we all have hectic schedules. So when you find those free 10, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, an hour in your schedule each day, you can refer back to the notes, study anything on it, and then the brain will organize the data over time. And then you come back and you listen to this video, and this might actually turn into be a video series. And then your brain will organize the data sequentially, and you'll see it. Make no mistake about it, you'll see it. Okay, now, my fellow American citizens, the crime that is known as gang stalking, and it's not stalking by gangs, so don't, don't allow that description to mislead your mind concerning your deliberations about this crime. It is not stalking by the type of street gangs that you might initially think of when you hear the word gang. And you'll understand what gang stalking is as you continue to listen, and as you go into this account, watch past videos, and stay tuned for upcoming videos. Now, what I'm going to disclose in this video, remember, you got an uneducated mind, okay? A person cannot go to school and who has never taken calculus, okay? Hear me out. You can't go to a college or even high school and buy a calculus book, and before opening it and before taking that first class, you can't expect to know, okay, everything that you would be taught in a full term semester of learning calculus, okay? So in other words, right now, with you having no understanding whatsoever, hold on. Now, without you having any detailed information about this crime, while you're being introduced to things that are reported to be occurring within it, it's going to take patience with an adult, mature, investigative posture. Listen to what's stated, write it down, okay? Thoroughly research it, stay tuned to the account, and over time you'll see it. That's a guarantee. Okay? So anything that sounds far-fetched or too fantastical or science fictionist, understand and know, folks, there are extremely credible people on the internet exposing this. Doctors, scientists, professors, lawyers, thousands and thousands and thousands of victims who are part of the tens of thousands of victims who are all over the internet exposing these detailed crimes. All right, let me catch my breath. This is a Lori video series video. Now, what you also should understand is that these 6 satanic filth are completely protected. In judicial processes, law enforcement, state, county, and local governments, and federal governments, including intelligence agencies, militaries, they are completely protected because it's the government and this demonic whore ass, literally, excuse my language, that's perpetrating the crime to begin with. So, have you ever known any criminally insane despot to investigate themselves? It's abundantly clear they're not going to investigate themselves because they'll end up in jail. So they knew before they perpetrated this crime that they would have to set up protective measures and mechanisms within our judicial processes, state, county, and local governments, and federal, state, county, and local police in order to keep their organized crime whore ass protected. And I do apologize for the descriptive language, folks, so just ignore it. Understand and know you are literally listening to a very, very educated victim. And if you knew how high profile I am, okay, you would listen to every damn syllable I got to say. Right now I'm a little frustrated because of things I've been through this morning, what I've been going through, and what I'm sure I'm going to continue to have to endure as a direct result of the extreme criminality within our government and the other implicated, massively reported, connecting, colluding, demonic freaks who are hosting this crime and who they collude with and depend on. So, with all that being said, trust me, okay? So, let me catch my breath, and if you can just bear with me a second, I'm going to take a drink of water, if you can just bear with me a second. Now, you should also know, and this is going to, remember, some of my statements are going to sound bizarre to you, or at least peculiar to you, at least initially. But remember, you had no understanding concerning this crime because you had no educated knowledge about it. You're listening to a victim who's been studying this crime in-depthly, practically every single day since June 9, 2009. on top of experiencing massive, massive, massive crimes through this crime. So, you being a person who knows nothing about this crime, while you're listening to somebody who's massively educated and who's got extensive experience concerning massive crimes connected to this crime, trust me when I say stay with this account and you'll learn. Okay? Now, there's a lot of complex truth connected to this crime. Okay? This crime is very intrusive. Okay, concerning practically every level of its crime perpetrations, and that includes as well protections. Okay, hold on a second. Absolutely. So, let me just catch my breath here. Hold on. Now, folks, when I show you any literature in this crime from my other phone that I got booted up and that I had the literature on, what you want to do is take notes concerning it. I would even take stamp screenshots of what I show you, absolutely. And then sit back, thoroughly investigate it, set it aside. And you're still going to have gaps in your understanding, obviously, until you do enough research for that information to become synthesized. And because, since victims are not being allowed to prove that they've been non-consensually implanted, then the victims will not be able to show you x-rays, CAT scans, MRIs, test results, okay, concerning the types of implants that are in them, the effects of them, okay, I'd say about at least 96%, of the time. All right, now bear with me. There's going to be breaks in my speech because I got to literally relax my stomach between my, let's just put it to you this way, sections of speech. And if you knew what I was enduring, you completely understand that, okay? So just bear with me when there's pauses between my statements. Okay, so let me give you an example of what I mean. Where you're going to have, it's always great to have visual aids that will help you see something, where you then can take that pictorial image and fold it into and synthesize it with the textual knowledge that you'll see from the PDF files and scientific articles that I show you, and my verbal statements. It always helps to have an assistance of a visual aid. That's not always possible, and that includes implants and so on. So just trust me, and let's move forward. Now, what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to show you this. This is a mouthpiece that I bought from Amazon, and these types of mouthpieces are used by boxers and people that are in the sports industry, including even for professional bicyclists that wear them in case they fall off their bike. Okay? So your top teeth will go in this part. Okay? And your bottom teeth will go in this part. Okay? And then this is what you would see if once the person put it in their mouth, and then if they smiled at you, this is what you would see is the front part. These gaps right here are put there so that when it's in your mouth, you can breathe. Now, you'll understand with the relevance of this here in a few minutes, so just trust me, stay with me. So let me show you what it looks like, okay? All right? Now, I want you to take a look at this, and then I want you to imagine that this thing being cut down the middle, from side to side, down the middle, and then what you would have is two separate pieces. So basically the bottom part would look like what you would see from mid-level down. The upper part would be what you see from mid-level up. And you'll understand this in a minute. Trust me, folks. Okay? So cut straight through the middle in order to separate the top from the bottom. And if you can visualize what that would look like, it will help you understand some of the following statements. Okay? And remember, there are going to be pauses between my statements, so just bear with me. Now, the following PDF file that I'm going to show you, there are many online posts. You're going to be able to find probably at least 7 or 8. You're going to know how to find them as soon as I start showing you the titles of them. Let me just bring this up right here. Like the current one that I'm looking at is from the National Library of Medicine, National Center for Biotechnology Information, plus Google has a patent for these types of technologies, absolutely, that I'm getting ready to show you. And there's also other articles written about it. Now, what you got to understand about the criminal expedition, the extreme, massive, demonic criminal program of gang stalking is that because of, look, folks, you got to understand something about, and the following statement is not being made because I believe it, suspect it, or even wonder it, but it's going to be stated in a way so that when I get done stating it, you can have maybe an overall understanding. If it's true, then you'll be able to synthesize it into your understanding. Because I got to say things carefully, folks, for legal, strategic, and security purposes. Make no mistake about it. So understand and know. I want you to look at this. Deep sea divers, people who do scuba diving, okay, need to communicate with people who are in ships above them, and anybody else that might be in any type of floating vehicle. And scuba diving occurs for various reasons. So if you can imagine a scuba diver that's going down into the ocean, and let's say he's going 300, 400 or more meters down, he wants to be able to communicate, especially if it's some type of research expedition. So let's view this as it being a research expedition by an extremely well-funded, through extremely well-funded partners that are working with the scuba divers. Because I want you to be able to see this in the very probable ways that it's occurring anyways. So the scuba divers want to be able to communicate with who's funding them in the ships that are working with them. And the scuba diver then jumps into the ocean. He goes 200, 300, 400 meters below, and he needs to be able to communicate with the people he's working with that are on the ships. It's a research project. The scuba diver is playing a direct role in the primary goals of what the research is about. Doesn't matter what type of research it is. So they needed to develop a communication in order so that the scuba diver can communicate with his partners that are in the ship above him that are connected to him. So from now on, when I say ship, that's what that means. Okay? So this right here is a form of bone conduction auditorial communication. And it occurs by and through a mouthpiece that is put in the mouth of the scuba divers themselves. Okay? Now, I admit, I just found these yesterday, but I know enough about bone conduction and covert acoustic communication that occurs with bone conduction. I know enough about it to know that Google's got a patent for it. You're seeing this being exposed right here through the National Library of Medicine, National Center for Biotechnology Information, and I wouldn't doubt if the National Institute of Health doesn't also have an article about this, plus you'll see many other articles about it. So what this basically is designed, and I just discovered this yesterday, by the way, okay? But I know enough about bone conduction, and I filtered through for about maybe a minute the Google patent, which I'm going to show you. In fact, let me minimize this. I'm going to set the phone down. I'm going to take a break in my speech for a minute. I also want you to pay attention to all sounds that you hear in the environment that I'm not making, and minus any birds chirping. That includes even several sounds occurring at once. Trust me. Where do you see my wideband videos and my frequency hopping videos? You'll understand that, absolutely. So, any description that I make, obviously you don't have an in-depth comprehension about it at this time. Trust me, you will over time when you see other videos exposed. Okay? They're being stated for a reason. So, I'm going to have to give a disclaimer because of copyright laws. When you bring up the Google, let me just, in fact, I don't want to show you any diagrams, so what I'm going to do instead is, let me see here, bear with me. Okay, so this is how I discovered it yesterday. I was researching how to make bone conduction headphones, and I ran into a website that kind of breaks it down text-wise. Okay. Okay. So remember, right now, when I just said text-wise, and I took a break in my speech, okay, is it possible this video camera picked up somebody saying gang stalk from a distance? Now, what you got to understand, though, as well, and I know you don't understand that, and I'm not going to go into a detailed statement about it. I got a video series that I've already started that shows me discussing that very issue. But what you got to understand, though, folks, is that these sick bitch demonic maggots, they monitor your YouTube account. They monitor when you make videos, whether they've been uploaded yet or not, so they know what's in the videos themselves. So they know this other video series has already been started related to what I just stated. Okay? Now, let me tell you something about YouTube. They will prop up things for the victim to hear through physical people and different types of acoustic technologies as well for you to hear. Some acoustic technologies do not allow you to record what the victim hears. And I'm not going to go into a long drawn out statement concerning that, but you can research ELF, acoustic broadcasting, okay? Which is an identical twin sister voice to skull. So the victim hears it, but the victim might perceive it as being an actual person in the environment. But let's just say, for instance, if it did get recorded, and then I go to put the video on YouTube, well, all they got to do is go into the YouTube video and edit it out and claim it never got caught. Because one of the main, if you don't think that these sick bitch demonic animals cannot prop up a situation to make it appear that law enforcement has the normal appearing excuses to know you got a video online, think again, because they've already done it. Absolutely. So if you make a statement, was Gangstalk just said right when I concluded a statement, okay, and then it's not showable on the video because the demonic bitches went into the account and took it out by editing it, okay, then they can claim you're mentally ill. Okay. And by the way, right now, this tape recorder that's in this pouch right here that I showed you a few minutes ago, it is sitting right there, and there's a trail directly towards that way. So it is also hopefully recording anything that would get propped up by these assholes. Okay? These people are nothing but demonic animals. It's all they are. So this is one of the websites here that I was researching yesterday. See, I was looking at bone conduction headphones on Amazon. And there's where you see the scuba divers. So I went and Googled scuba divers, and then that's when I found the patents. Okay? So if you can bear with me one second. Let me go ahead and bring up the Google PDF file. Bear with me a second. Now, where do you see the videos related to what I just got done talking about? Where do you see that? That's going to blow your friggin' mind. Oh, absolutely. Okay, so this right here is Google's patent. Right here. Okay. So just research the things that I've shown you so far, and now I'm going to segue into detailing to you why this is being brought up. Okay? My fellow American citizens, the criminally insane animals who are hosting this crime are heavily involved in what is known as non-consensual human experimentation projects. Now, when you hear me state any of my statements in this video, and if you might say to yourself, well, none or any of this sounds like an subject matter that would interest me, and you walk away, well, obviously you got that right to do that, but I extremely advise you not to, because the criminal expedition, the criminal program of gang stalking, it's past the epidemic in America. This crime is involved in hundreds and hundreds of different crime motivations, and one victim can be picked for up to 30 or more crime motivations. It's a literal epidemic. Okay? The vast majority of Americans don't even know the crime exists. So you need to, when you hear me say one thing like human experimentation, and you walk away, then you're not going to hear not just about the disclosure concerning that, but all the other connected crimes. Okay? You have to be able to see what they're doing. The only way you can do that is by staying with the videos, because this will be a video series. So now, okay, now going back to, if you bring up, let me just show you, I'll go back into the gallery, bear with me a second. Yeah, you wouldn't believe what I've seen concerning victims' posts about what these demonic freaks are doing, concerning editing victims' videos, blogs, emails, and much more. So this right here is one picture from the Google patent, okay, concerning the mouthpiece itself that is put in scuba divers that allow for auditorial communication bone conduction, auditorial communication between the scuba diver once he's went into the ocean and the people that he's speaking to through this type of a device that is bone conduction. It's audio communication between the scuba diver and the ship that's above him once he's went into the ocean. Now this enables him to speak with, okay, the people that he's conferencing with. Now, how much does that look like? This is the device itself. How much does that look like this mouth guard I showed you a little bit ago? So let me go ahead and set the phone back down, and now I'm going to talk to you. Remember what I said concerning picturing this in your mind, cut in half down the middle. Okay? So again, cut in half down the middle would mean from this side all the way over to the opposite side in the middle horizontally. Then you would have two separate pieces, okay? One for the upper gum line, one for the lower, okay? Now the reason why I'm showing that to you is because between you having a visual imagery of that and this, and then when you do the research into this patent, because I've already showed you how to get to it, okay? Let's now talk about what could possibly be occurring to gang stalking victims. One of the biggest things that are occurring in gang stalking crimes is non-consensual human experimentation. And its absolute intimate connection to non-consensual implantation. Okay? Right? Now, consider this. The demonic filth that is hosting this crime and their absolutely criminally insane pathologies connected to all, okay, of their crime motivations and every single thing, big and small, that is needed and done in order to achieve each one, okay, is massively assisted by and through non-consensual biomedical implantation, and that includes several different types of implants, nanotech, different types of implants, okay, and how they're remotely interfaced with, and some of the technology that's remotely interfacing with that's being used to remotely interface with them, including remote neuromonitoring. So I want you to imagine, if you can just bear with me, I'm going to draw something out here for you to see. Okay, now, I want you to imagine this to be your upper and lower gum line, okay? Alright? And this right here is the width of it, okay? So this part right here that you see, the flat part of it, because I don't know how to draw three-dimensionally, okay? If you were to consider this width, like it's facing down that you're seeing it, right? So this is the part that's attached to the upper roof of your mouth. And then the opposite side of it would be where your teeth will come out at, for your upper gum line. And the same thing for the lower. This would be this the lower side of this. Okay, so in other words, actually, okay, so yeah, this part right here would be the part that is attached to the roof of your mouth, and the bottom side of this one, which would be the other side, would be the part that would be attached to the lower jawline. Okay, so this is where the lower gum line teeth would intrude up, and the opposite side of this would be where the teeth would protrude down. Okay? Now, let's imagine once you do a thorough investigative research into at least this patent, because this is the Google patent one. This shows you detailed information concerning where the electrodes and other aspects of the mouthpiece are placed at. So once the mouthpiece is put in the mouth, okay. In fact, I actually, so imagine these types of electrodes, these points, where you see the electronics placed in the mouthpiece, okay, attached inside the gum line of a human being. So basically, what that would do is, and this could also be possibly, it can operate independently once everything's put in the victim, and or it can also work with, or it could also work with other non-consensual biomedical implants that they have put in the victim, that like implants in the tongue, the roof of the mouth, okay, and other areas in the gum line. So that's what I want you to see, is a rudimentary introduction, giving you enough information so you can have some type of visual understanding of what could be put in the gang stalking victim themselves internally, biologically, instead of it being a mouthpiece, where they're literally using the bones, more than likely also, like, let me give you an additional example. So the teeth would be coming up from this. This is the gum line of the lower jaw. So let's say if you got a false tooth put here, okay? When you research auditory transmissions through a implanted tooth, you can also have a hole here that's got a casing put in it that would regularly be used, and inside the casing is a screw. Okay, right? So the screw could have coils wrapped around it, literally. I mean, I know this sounds crazy, folks. Okay, so now this would be generally, you can have an idea about this when you research teeth implants. But instead of it being a tooth implant, it's actually a casing that's got more than likely a screw or some type of electronics in it, and probably a wire that's running around it, which probably is then connected to an antenna that might not protrude out, but might be like right at the top part of it. Okay, now what might be embedded concerning, and there could be more than one thing possibly attached to this. There could be an electrode array in there somewhere where it has connecting electrodes so that nanowires can run through and either work in concert with this type of dynamic, okay, or working separate to assist with this and or for another function. What is happening, folks, to gang stalking targets is nothing but sadistic, demonic torture that is beyond mathematical quantification, measure, okay, and almost beyond verbal description. I shit you fucking not. Now, I personally have videos and photo of directed energy weapon burns and or ultrasound burns in my mouth on several dates, including going all the way back to 2019. Okay, I got at least 150 audio files showing me disgust being targeted directly to the mouth, the roof of the mouth, the gums, and the tongue, and absolute video and photo evidence to prove it. Okay, so what would they be doing possibly with this? Now, you can also have other materials injected in the gum line for the sake of Y-band, and you'll understand what Y-band is when you stay tuned to the frequency hopping videos and the Y-band videos, because that would work in concert with it. It's got to do with sound conversion to radio signals, and its connection, by the way, to different types of ear implants, and or different types of auditorial implants that can be put in the auditorial nerves. Okay, there's so much going on in this crime, folks. I don't expect you to walk away again with a thorough understanding. Again, this is a rudimentary video. So let me help you understand what... So let's say if you got... So I'm going to partially draw the face. Okay? So this is now the head of the victim. The victim can have an electrode strip right here. Okay? And then let me draw aspects of the neck. Okay? You should also go to Google and type in a Google implants implants powered by sound. Okay? You will find, including ultrasound. So that would be both regular sound and ultrasound. So you can have an implant in the ear, and it can have a nanowire or a biomedical wire that can be streamlined by and through. So now you're seeing a fork, where the biomedical wire will receive the radio signal from the conversion from sound to radio wave from the ear implant, which has got a sound processor in it. Okay, piezoelectric transducer converts the sound to a radio wave. That radio wave then gets streamlined into... One portion of it could go here into the gum line, and it's connected, okay, intrusions. The other one could go down into the jawline in the bone, okay, where then you run across an electrode strip, and then each one of these strips have a lead that will go to... One will go here, another one will go to an implant that is a cuff electrode in the nerve, okay, nerve and or cranial nerve, certain types of cranial nerves and or other implants, veins, and arteries. Okay? And this is how these sick little demonic bitches are literally torturing gang stalk. Alright, hold on. Are reported to be torturing gang stalking victims remotely. What you need to also understand about certain types of bone conduction and or regular cochlear implants is that they got antennas, which means that antenna can be accessed just like you calling from one phone to another. Okay? Sound processor processes the sound in the environment. Okay? It gets converted to a radio wave through a piezoelectric transducer. Those portion radio waves go into their connected, okay, additional implants. The implants then become activated and the victim is cooked alive internally. Some implants can be powered by sound through ultrasound as well. Okay, so let's say, hold on. Let's say you're a gang stalking victim and you are experiencing sound conversion to radio signal based on what? Well, let me show you something. What do you see here? This is a sound spectrum analyzer app. Okay? And what you're seeing right here to the far right is ultrasound. And this is frequency hopping of the different sounds in the environment. But when you don't hear an airplane or a bird or a person talking on the road path or a landscape noise, this sound spectrum analyzer app will still pick up, okay, these graph bars jumping when there is no sound in the environment that is auditorial distinguishable, which means that you can hear. So would that then be frequency hopping being perpetrated through ELF technology, which is an identical twin sister of voice to skull? Okay, so I want you to watch what jumps up when I say gang stalk. Gang stalk. Gang stalk. Gang stalk. Oh my God. Suck dick. So what you're seeing is the sound frequencies dedicated to the phonetic speech of those words. This right here is the green decibel bar dedicated to these oscillating, fluctuating frequencies that are hopping, whether I speak or not. Okay, so let me just show you an example. Here's the frequency spectrum range, and you can obviously see ultrasound is constant. Okay, now watch between A and B. A, B. Now go back and watch that, and then watch what jumps and compare it to what jumps when I say gang, stalk, oh my God, suck, dick. Now these right here are some of the numeric the numeric numbers dedicated to specific graph bars showing the actual frequencies. So speech has phonetics, which are sounds. Each word has a dedicated frequency and decibel level. So when those words are propped up for a gang stalking victim to hear that may have a non-consensual bone conduction cochlear ear implant in them, I guarantee you folks, if you got a gang stalking victim, hold on, I guarantee you folks, if you got a gang stalking victim who's got a bone conduction cochlear, a bone conduction cochlear ear implant in them that's got a sound processor. Okay, now hold on 1 second because I can't understand why. Let me go back to, because for some reason this video is now magnified. So let's say when the victim has a bone conduction cochlear ear implant in their ear, which absolutely has an antenna, right? And the sound that's processed in it will get converted to a portion radio wave. Okay, it would then allow those radio signals created from the sound conversion so that each portion radio wave goes to each implant. Okay, now if this that's in the mouth is an acoustic bone conduction, then it's very likely that one or more of the nanowires connected to the sound processor of the ear implant is also connected to the bone conduction of what's in the gum for the same purpose. Okay, I'm aware of a specific gang stalking victim. So let's say this right here is the tongue. Okay, if you put gum, if you're chewing gum, but you stop chewing it and you just rest that gum wad like this, okay, you rest it on the back part of the tongue and you close your mouth without the jaws closing together, the voice to skull that the victim hears drops by 80%. Okay? And that same victim has got evidence of burns on their tongue. That same victim discovered yesterday what appears to be some type of wire running from the middle of the tongue at least all the way up to the tip of it on the right and left side. Okay? So with that possible, and I know this is going to sound funny, but what you got to understand is that if this is some type of, so I got audio files that show scientists openly state that gang stalking victims are being implanted in the roof of their mouth, right? You can also research a auditorial diaphragm implant that can be put in the roof of the mouth, right? So how many times a day does your tongue touch the top of the roof of your mouth? When you're talking, okay, or when you're even when you're eating, okay. Now, so if this contact, let's say if this is some type of contact, and when the tongue touches the roof of the mouth, is there some type of electron flow, okay, happening that allows for certain implants to be activated? Because think about this, why would voice to skull? Because most people don't know that sounds can be perpetrated through the nose. Oh, absolutely. Research everything I'm saying, and the mouth, including ing, ng, and one other one through the nose. Words that got these as part of their phonetics, the sound of when you say like gang stalk ing. Okay, in and ing. Research that concerning nasal auditorial processing. There's also certain phonetics that play a role in getting processed concerning the mouth, because what you're going to understand is it's called air induction auditorial processing. Air that goes into the mouth, okay, and if they're perpetrating bone conduction voice to skull through the jaw implant, the gums, each word has a phonetic distinguishing. So what I'm doing is basically throwing information out here for you to research it. Because let me tell you something right now. What I meant to finish talking about earlier is that even though technologies like this exist online, the vast majority of the American population has no idea they even exist. So if you can take that, what's featured in the Google patent, and literally implant it in the jaw gum line, okay, internally, instead of it being a device, then they can achieve it through that. Because think about it, if you're a gang stalking victim and you're experiencing, let's say if the gang stalking victim, let me show you something real fast, and then I'm going to conclude this particular video. Let's say if you're a gang stalking victim and you start wearing wired bone conduction headphones, and then you plug them into an audio file that plays a bunch of different tones together. That's going to interfere with the sounds that they're trying to get through at least the community-based gang stalking. So what they're going to do is rely on a redundant system. And since they can send sound directly to the sound processor, okay, or at least a radio signal that will then activate what's in the jaw, so the auditory implant in the jaw can receive voice to skull, then that's forcing the auditorial cortex to still process it, and if it's got a connection to wideband, then wideband is still being achieved. And when you see the wideband videos, you'll thoroughly understand. Okay? So basically what it would be then is a redundant system, where they're saying, okay, the victim is blocking out voice to skull and the sounds in the environment through the bone conduction headphones, which magically, where the battery just magically keeps getting drained by itself. Yeah, ain't that nice and convenient? Yeah. Okay, and these are brand new. They're only 2 days old, and I am already having problems with keeping the sound amplifier. This sound amplifier, when you put these bone conduction headphones on, and then you plug the plug-in to a tape recorder, once you turn on this part of the wired bone conduction headphones on, you turn this on, this is what allows the bone conduction. But if you don't have this box charged, then the bone conduction falls away. So I just picked these up 2 days ago, and it's only less than 20 minutes when it should last up to 4 or 5 hours. 20 minutes. Ain't that nice and convenient? And by the way, this package that these came in was opened. So you can research, okay, gang stalking, mail theft, mail delayment, and mail tampering. Okay? So basically, if they're trying to operate through, you can have more than one auditory implant. You can have an eardrum implant, auditorial implant put directly on the eardrum, while you can also have a bone conduction cochlear implant in you. And if these types of bone conduction earphones and what you're listening to through them interfere with anything, then would they say to themselves then, okay, if the eardrum implant is connected to nanowires that then activate, okay, the auditorial bone conduction implant in the gums, they'll revert to that. Okay? Okay, or vice versa. They might be depending on the eardrum auditory implant for the wideband and depending on this for the jaw. But if you got a wire that goes from it that can fork, one fork would go for the bone conduction jaw implants, and the other fork can go for the wideband. This is the intrinsic nature of these fucking satanic, demented, raping, murdering, human trafficking animals, and the lengths they'll go to. And wideband is done so that the radio signals can interface with implant for radiation dumps. And sound conversion from sound to radio wave, the radio wave then gets portioned to the implants for the radiation dumps. Does that mean then the sound of helicopters, planes, landscape noise, people talking? Again, look how these jump. And why do you see ultrasound? Because there's many implants that operate by and through ultrasound, including sound-powered implants. in the throat, and so on. Oh, absolutely. Watch what it does when I say gang stalk. Gang stalk. So in closing, let me tie off this statement here. Okay, now I'm going to plug the charger now that it's at 100%. Okay, I'm going to plug this charger into the phone I'm making this video through. Consider this. If a gang stalking target has bone conduction, auditorial implants in their jaw and or ear, when they talk, that speech will go through the sound processor of the bone conduction ear implant, because, or at least the eardrum implant. Okay, and it will also go through the bones because once you speak, the implant in the eardrum will hear the dialogue. Now, when you speak, your voice is going through your cheekbone, your skull bone, and your jawbone. Now, that will interfere with whatever might be getting sent to one or more of these types of auditory implants. Okay? And your speech has different sound frequencies and decibels. If those sound frequencies or decibels are not dedicated to the function of how the sound is getting converted from sound to radio wave for the sake of wideband, then they need to immediately prop something up once that speech stops. Do you understand? So they can get you back on this, so they can reinitiate the wideband, right? Because again, like when I'm talking right now, look, let me put my glasses back on. When I'm talking right now, when I am talking, watch what jumps up when I'm talking. Okay? So if gang stalking crimes are relying on specific sound frequencies, and as you're talking, that interferes with those pure sound frequency signals that they're depending on, because as I talk, the sound of my speech goes through my bones. And if they're relying on bone conduction, then wideband is being massively interrupted. Do you see, as I speak, look at all these different sound frequencies and decibels that are related to the sound frequencies are hopping up and down. They are interfering with them being able to transfer the sound frequencies that would be perpetrated through either and or ELF, and or any sounds they prop up the environment, any sounds that are directly sent to the sound processor, and human speech that is propped up in the environment through physical people. So once you get done talking, would they then make sure the victim hears any of their sounds in the environment, including propping up people in the environment to speak, and or projecting speech through the criminal application of the criminal use of holosonics, which is widely reported, including through very credible sources, where the victim will hear speech of a person talking when there's actually no one there, because the speech is being projected through a holosonic speaker. And I got audio files showing this being absolutely discussed. Okay? Including by ex-NSA personnel. Oh, absolutely. So they got to get it right in. So they got to wait until you're done. They got to wait until you're done speaking. So I am aware of a specific gang stalking victim that's got multiple audio files, and probably at least by now at least 4 to 5 videos capturing gang stalk, suck dick, and oh my god being said between their speech. Because if you're not talking, that internal speech that would be going through the bones is no longer interfering with the sounds they want you to hear for sound conversion to radio wave. Because you think about this, my fellow American citizens. Think about this very, very, very hard. Logic and probabilities and mathematical statistical analysis, okay, which is basically where you take data and you compare it. Okay? So let's say if a victim is talking, and it could be applied concerning their statements to what you just seen here in the last 5 minutes. And then as soon as that victim gets done speaking, the word gang stalk is said either through a physical person, and or suck dick, and or oh my god, that's in the environment directly parallel to the victim, or that type of speech coming through a holosonic speaker. And it's caught the second they stop talking. Do you really believe that's an accident? Especially when the victim is at an isolated wooded area that has no homes on it, buildings, okay, or cable installations. All right, so in closing, I am aware of a gang stalking victim who has at least 60 different audio files different dates, different locations, where the victim themselves, the victim themselves said, from now on, when I am singing, talking, humming, or whistling, all of that is bone conduction. When you talk, that's bone conduction, which means the phonetics of your speech is going through your bones and your ears. When I'm whistling, same thing. When I'm humming, same thing. And singing. So singing, whistling, humming, or talking, all that goes through your bones, your cheekbones, your jawbones. You also hear it in your ears, okay, and whistling, okay. So that bone conduction, those sounds that are going through bones, which then makes it bone conduction, is interfering with what they want the victim to process through bone conduction, no matter what delivery system is being used for it. Would that be related to what I've shown you in this video? Ear implants, what's in the jaw, okay, and so on, for the sake of bone conduction. Then, for the sake of Y-band, then once that victim stops singing, humming, whistling, or talking, they want to immediately get you back on their bone conduction related to the phonetics of what is heard. Speech, sirens, landscape noise, helicopters, airplanes, dogs barking. Google those sounds to gang stalking, noise, harassment. So they got to get the victim right back on it. And so how can they tell when the victim gets done singing, talking, humming, or whistling? The sound processor of the ear implant. Because everything that sound process is reported, everything that sound processor of the ear implant is fucking going, is it's already being used to send shit to it, okay, from the ELF, reported ELF, and the sounds are popping up in the environment, right? Well, it's a two-way communication. What gets sent to it and what gets sent from it to them. Therefore, when you speak, they hear you speak. When you're whistling, they're hearing your whistling. When you're singing, talking, humming, it's all going to them. So the computer is able to determine when you're done doing that. So, folks, I want you to consider that. Why would ultrasound be in my environment right now? 21,000. Think about it. Okay. Then go to Google and research sound implants, implants powered by sound, including implants powered by sound through ultrasound. See, because all these sound frequencies, no matter what produces them, my talking, any environmental noise, any other thing they prop up, ELF or whatever, is writing on the ultrasound. And each radio wave that they're after from the sound conversion to radio wave has specific sound frequencies dedicated to them. If you're talking, whistling, humming, or singing, that is interfering with the pure sound frequencies that they're after. Do you understand? So why have I got massive amounts of videos, photos, and much more showing third-degree burns inside my gum line, tongue, and roof of my mouth? Okay? Why? Think about what I'm saying. Because if you fucking go to a doctor, okay, why is it reported all over the internet that by thousands of victims that when they go see a personal doctor, like a primary medical practitioner, okay, their primary medical doctor included, okay, when they go to the hospital for CAT scans, x-rays, MRIs, okay, why is it reported by thousands of victims that when they go see a doctor, no matter where they go see him at, that these doctors are not allowing them to show proof that they've been implanted, and any effects of torture, traumatic brain injury, third-degree burns, okay, no matter if it's an ultrasound burn or a directed energy weapon burn or a radio telemetry, radio signal burn, and why are we not being allowed to prove we're implanted? Because think about what I'm saying. Why would a demonic crime implant victims to begin with? Think about what I'm saying. Okay? What would be the motive of it? Outside of just your regular human experimentation. What would be the motive of it? Okay? And you honestly think that I can't prove that I'm implanted? Those are electromagnetic weapon boil bumps on my eyes as a direct result of my head, face, throat, and neck being extremely targeted in a brutal 18-hour long continuous torture episode that occurred at 2 places, identically repeated, okay, identically continued, identically perpetrated. A wooded area off of Gilman Road, in Vaughn's grocery store on Regents Road and Arabia Street in San Diego, California. Okay? Bring up that YouTube video. It shows an Oxford scientist discuss some of the features and functions of these islands implants, while she's showing a book written by another scientist who's got extremely impeccable credentials. These islands implants are featured in that book.